Hello everyone, a very good morning to all of you. Today it is 31st May 2021 and we are going to discuss the Hindu newspaper and also we are going to analyze the editorial of the Hindu newspaper. But before that, I'm going to put a quote in front of you. A bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because her trust is not on the branch but on its own wings. So, what is the crux of the quote is always believe in yourself. So, here we go. CPI Marxist leader Italy Sivaraman passes away. She was leader and former vice president of All India Democratic Women's Association. She died on Sunday. She was 81 years of age. The lowest deaths in Delhi because the cases are declining in Delhi over a month. It is called. It is said the lowest death in over a month in Delhi. Haryana government is extending the lockdown till June 7, but some of the restrictions imposed there are eased. Like marketplaces can now open for 6 hours from 9 a.m. onwards. Delhi High Court to give verdict on Central Vista construction work today. Okay, here the claim of central government is hello. Here the claim of central government is that it is facade and disguise. Okay, it is facade and disguise to stall the project which they always wanted to stop because the petitioner had picked this issue very selectively and petitioner did not seem to care about the workmen of other construction activities going on in a city. It is claimed by the central government. This news is about UP. Two people were throwing or dumping the dead body of a person who was dead by the COVID-19 related complication. So they were caught in a video in a broad daylight. So the families were booked. The families of the COVID infected person who died were booked in Uttar Pradesh, Balrampur district. Okay, and the body was being dumped into the Rapti river. This river is in Uttar Pradesh. This is about the number of new cases across India. The cases are declining further to 1.5 lakh. Okay, so it is good news. Government expands credit for oxygen unit. Here, government has launched the emergency credit line guarantee scheme, which will cover the loan up to 2 crore for setting up on-site oxygen generation plants at healthcare facilities. Okay, and public sector banks are also ready to implement the expanded scheme. This news is about the Mehul Choksi. Mehul Choksi is deported from the Antigua. Antigua is island nation in the Caribbean Sea. Go and see on the map where the Antigua is located and where is the location of Caribbean Sea. He is wanted for the 13,578 crore Punjab National Bank fraud case, and he is fugitive businessman. Okay, and right now he is in custody. Here the news is about Coimbatore, and here the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin, is saying that government was not ignoring Coimbatore with regard to COVID-19 management. Government treated all the districts equally, and he is countering the charge that western districts was being overlooked for political reasons, and he said that this allegation is politically motivated, and we have given facilities. We have created those leveling the allegation. He said that those leveling the allegation should look at facilities the government has provided after he assumed office. Okay, he said that MK Stalin, Mr. Stalin, who earlier visited a COVID-19 ward at a city hospital dressed in a PPE suit, he pointed out that second highest vaccinated district after Chennai was Coimbatore, where 5.85 lakh people have been vaccinated in Coimbatore. Okay, so this is all about the news on the front page of the Hindu newspaper, and we are moving to another page. Let's see if there is any important news, then we will discuss, otherwise we will move to editorial page. It is about the uncertainty and the difficulty caused by the COVID-19 pandemic on the lives of the migrant workers. Okay, they are economically and financially wrecked and stayed back hoping for a better tomorrow. This is the picture of the Anand Bihar bus terminus. They are waiting for the bus at Anand Bihar terminus. Just see the crowd. What is the level of the crowd? After that, let's move to another page. Wait a second. Yeah, this is about the private hospital. Here it is said that despite exorbitant or huge tariffs charged by the private hospitals to treat the COVID-19 patients, people are still rushing towards the private hospital, because in the private hospital they get the individualized attention and better facilities, and it does not help government hospitals. The Delhi ministers and healthcare workers too are opting for private hospitals. It is said here that it will not promote the government hospital, since government ministers in the government and healthcare workers are also opting for the private hospitals because of the facilities provided in the private hospital. Okay, this is about the death due to the lack of oxygen. Here the leader of opposition in Delhi Assembly, Ranveer Singh Biduri, demanding the judicial probe into the deaths caused by the lack of oxygen in the hospital, shortage of oxygen in the hospital, and he is demanding that compensation is to be given to the family of the deceased person of 10 lakh, which was earlier announced by the government, that was 5 lakh. Okay, and he is saying that it is high time that responsibility for these deaths to be fixed. Let's move to another page. This news is about Assam. 20 dead at 350 tea states, and Assam is worst affected by COVID-19 because now the virus has also spreaded to the tea states in the 350 tea states. Okay, and let's move to, yeah, here this is also important, very important. Yesterday I had discussed that government has launched a new plan to support the orphaned children whose parents are dead because of the COVID-19. Government is going to provide them the financial support of 10 lakh. They will be getting this stipend till the age of 18 years. They will be also provided the education, residential support by the government. They will be given the admission in the KV, Kendriya Vidyalaya, and when they will reach at the age of 23, they will be given all the amount of 10 lakh in one instance. Okay, so here in this news, one activist whose name is Jyoti Prakash Brahma, a child right activist, he is demanding the similar benefits is to be given to the child who is orphaned, not because of the COVID-19 but because of the hunger and poverty in the backward area. And I support this. What do you think about this? Should the same benefit is to be given to the these children also? Give me a comment in the comment section and let me know what you think about it. And this is the picture which shows that a storm caused danger in Jaipur, where a tree is uprooted and fell over an auto rickshaw in Jaipur on Sunday. Let's move to another page. Oh yeah, what has happened? Wait a second. Every day something wrong happens with me while recording. Today this is the second time I'm recording the video, because in the first instance when I recorded the video I did not plug in the mic, so it proved to be disaster for me, and this is the second time I'm recording the video. Let's move to the news. Wait a second. Telangana hospitals, Telangana. Yeah, we were discussing this news and this news. Now move to another page. Here, Telangana government is extending the lockdown for 10 more days. You can see the picture of road here. No people you can see roaming around the road, across the road. The road is completely empty. You can see the level of the lockdown in these states. Here the news is about the Telangana government or Telangana hospital, where the district level task force team is going to probe, which came into action, is going to conduct the surprise check in around 11 hospitals on Saturday night, because there was a complaint from the aggrieved patient and relatives, mainly on the exorbitant charges demanded by these hospitals. This is happening nowadays, that private hospitals are charging exorbitant charges, but the poor section or poor strata of our society is not able to afford, and this is leading to the disaster to them, because it leads to the loss of lives to them, because they are not able to save the people, just because they are lacking the money, and they are not able to get the quality treatment in the good hospitals like private, big private hospitals. Therefore, in our page we have discussed the news about the hospitals, trust and hospitals, where the government and ministers are also opting for the treatment in the private hospitals because of the facility provided in the private hospital. Now we are going to discuss the editorial. Before discussing editorial, let's see, is there any other important news on the other page? It is about the Man Ki Baat, in which Prime Minister has said that India will prevail over COVID-19. The Man Ki Baat was the address of Man Ki Baat was also coincided with the 7th anniversary of his government. The Modi administration is going to complete the 7 years of ruling, and he said that many successes along with trials, especially the COVID-19 pandemic that had hit lives hard across the country and dealt a blow to the economy. Prime Minister expressed confidence that India would prevail over the virus. He has said that 7 decades after the independence, only 3.5 crore rural homes had water connections, but he said that 4.5 crores houses had been given clean water connection in the last 21 months alone. He is talking about the development carried out by his administration, and the situation, bad situation or worst situation right now we are witnessing in our country because of the pandemic. Okay, he is also pointing out the shortage of oxygen. So he said here that oxygen production and supply of oxygen would be increased from 900 metric ton to 9,000 metric tons in a matter of days. No one had the experience. He also said that no one had the experience of dealing with this kind of pandemic, and it emerges once in a decade. Okay, and in the form of pandemic, we are being continuously put to test, and this is the time of test for us. And this is not only about India. He is saying that even big countries like USA and others are also not spared from its devastation. They are also devastated by the pandemic. Let's move to another news. Another news is COVID-19 surge in Orissa. A few days back, I had discussed about the spread of COVID-19 infection in the area inhabited by the Bonda tribes in the Orissa. The tribes were hesitant about taking vaccine, but think if they don't take the vaccine and if they are not inoculated, and virus will be increasing day by day, and it can mutate also, it can create the new variant also. It will be proved, it will prove to be fatal for entire nation, especially Orissa. So the state of Orissa is extending the lockdown, taking note of the situation there. And let me zoom the page. This news is about Bihar. Bihar government is going to give the monthly dole to orphans. Monthly dole of 1500 each month to the children who lost their parents in COVID-19 pandemic. It is the financial assistance till the age of 18 years, and they will also be housed in the state child care centers. And girls who are orphaned will be given the administration no admission in the Kasturba Gandhi Balika Residential School on priority basis. Okay, so here the news about monsoon. Earlier the IMD had predicted that. Wait a second. IMD had predicted that monsoon would be arrived at the Kerala till 31st May, but now IMD is saying that monsoon is delayed and it would be arrived at the Kerala coast on 3rd of June. Move to next news. This is about Assam, and here in Assam, the personnel or guards of Kaziranga National Park would be provided the commando training and more power. They would be given the more fire power. They would be provided the commando training, and there would be the acceleration of construction work, elevated road corridors, the roads which are going through the park, and exploration of helicopter services to and from the one-horned rhino habitat. And these decisions were taken at the meeting on flood preparedness, animal safety, anti-poaching, headed by Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma on May 27. And it is also said that the number of Ghatak, which is Indian-made Kalashnikov series rifles, would be increased. The production of this rifle would be increased, and all AFPF, Assam Forest Protect Force personnel and frontline staff using modern weapons would be trained. They would be given the modern weapon, and they would be training also of using the modern weapon at the Assam Police Commando Training Centers near Guwahati on regular basis. And it is also said that there shall be zero tolerance to poaching. They would not tolerate the poaching. It is the news about a detention center and a foreigner in Assam. The news is about the Mahindra Das. He is a citizen. No, he is not a citizen, but he was a citizen. Now he is tagged as D voter, that is doubtful voter, in 2015 and later declared a foreigner in one-sided decision by the Foreign Tribunal in 2019. We need to study about the foreign tribunal. All the tribunals are related to our syllabus, so we need to study about the foreign tribunals. So the decision was taken by the Foreign Tribunal in 2019, and after that he was lodged in a detention center within Silchar Central Jail in southern Assam's Barak Valley. D voter here, it is written here that doubtful voter is a category of voter in Assam disenfranchised by the government allegedly for lacking proper citizenship. A person who doesn't have proper citizenship are disenfranchised by the government allegedly, and they are termed as the doubtful voter. Okay, this is the news about the Assam, and right now there is new Citizenship Amendment Act which was enacted in 2019 by amending the Citizenship Act of 1955. We need to know about the new provisions involved or included in the new Citizenship Act. Okay, let's move to another news or another page. It is about China. China's space station plans gather pace with cargo docking. Tianzhou-2 cargo spacecraft was launched by China, and it is described as the China's media, and it is described by the China's media as the delivery guy for China's space station, which was launched on Saturday on Long March 7 rocket from the island of Hainan, and it was docked 8 hours later. First core module, it is the first core module called Tane or Heavenly Harmony. Okay, the launch was a third landmark for China's space program in recent weeks. China landed a spacecraft recently on May 15 in Mars, carrying a first Mars rover Zhurong. Wait a second. Hello. Yes. This Zhurong, China landed a spacecraft in Mars on May 15, carrying its first Mars rover. The spacecraft, Mars rover Zhurong. The name of the rover is Zhurong. Okay. The Tianhe module, which the cargo spacecraft docked with on Sunday, was launched on April 29. The Tianzhou second spacecraft carried a range of supplies, China Manned Space Agency said, and will be followed by the launch of another cargo spacecraft. China will launch another cargo spacecraft also, and the name will be Tianzhou's third, and also 2 manned mission would be launched by China, and the name of the manned mission is Shenzhou 12 and Shenzhou 13, and it would be carried out in this year itself, each carrying 3 astronauts. The manned mission, the 2 manned missions are there, and each manned missions would be carrying 3 astronauts each, who will spend several months in orbit. The Shenzhou second launch is slated for mid-June. In mid-June, the second Shenzhou 12 will be launched. 6 missions to follow this year, including the space station's second and third modules. Wentian and Mentian will close to complete the construction of China's first space station. Wentian and Mentian is the cargo carrying spacecraft. Okay, and it will help to complete the construction of China's first space station, and the construction of a space station is to be finished in 2022. Okay, CMSA, China Manned Space Agency, said Tianzhou second, with a maximum takeover weight of 13.5 tons and 6.9 ton payload capacity, is the largest cargo spacecraft in service. So this is about China Let's move to next news, and this news is about Israel, Egypt, and Palestine. Here, the main role of Egypt, uh, which is helping the Israel and Palestine for the diplomatic push and the truce between both of them, and to establish the permanent ceasefire. Egypt is also taking help of the US. Egypt is acting as the broker between the both of the country like Israel and Palestine for the truce uh, since May 21. And this diplomatic success right now is in the spotlight, and Egypt is trying to establish the permanent ceasefire between both of them, Israel and Palestine. Mr. Netanyahu said that Abbas Kamel, meeting with Abbas Kamel in Jerusalem, dealt with the regional security issues which to prevent Hamas and Islamist militant group. Hamas is the Islamist militant group which has the domination in the Gaza Strip and the territory of Gaza in the Palestine. Palestinian officials put reconstruction costs at tens of millions of dollars from Israeli strikes in Gaza, where medical officials said 248 people were killed. Israel is also repairing damage caused by Palestinian rockets and missiles, which killed 13 people. If you see the destruction, there is less destruction in Israel, and there is very heavy destruction caused by the Israel and Palestine. And you can see the number of people killed in Palestine. It is huge number, 248. If you compare it with the people killed in Israel, only 13 people are killed in Israel. Israeli Foreign Minister Gabi Ashkenazi's trip to Cairo was the first such visit in 13 years, and Mr. Ashkenazi said he would discuss with Egyptian counterparts establishing a permanent ceasefire with Hamas. So, altogether, this news is about the ceasefire which is going to establish between Palestine and Israel with the help of Egypt, because Egypt is helping as a broker to bring the truce between both of them, and it is also considered as a huge diplomatic success, and therefore it is in the spotlight. Okay, Egypt is also taking help of the USA here. This is all about the Egypt, Israel, and Palestine. Let's move to another page. Let's see, is there any important news? Then we will discuss it. Otherwise, we will move directly to the editorial page. Here, Milkha Singh. Yesterday, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, and we have discussed that Milkha Singh is also infected of COVID-19. He was on treatment in a private hospital. He was on the oxygen support. Now he is discharged because there was a request from his family members to discharge him. He is right now on the nutritional support and oxygen support, discharged from the Fortis Hospital, Mohali. Okay. This is all about this page. Let's move to the editorial page. Wait. Yes. So the first editorial we are going to discuss is the storm and strife between central and state government. The state government, that is West Bengal. Let's zoom it so that you can see it clearly. You know the matter. There was a meeting called by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi to review the situation after the cyclone Yas. Okay, so the claim of Miss Banerjee is here that she was put in the bad light over the meeting, and the union ministers say that she made the PM wait for 30 minutes at Kalaikunda in Paschim Medinipur district in South Bengal. And once she arrived, she handed over certain papers and left without attending the meeting. Governor Jagdeep Dhankar accused Mamta Banerjee publicly of being confrontational in an unprecedented act. center unilaterally placed the West Bengal Chief Secretary under central deputation. Yesterday we have discussed that central government is going to uh, put the Chief Secretary of West Bengal on the deputation. So the Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, is demanding the withdrawal of the order of central government. So she is claiming that this order is without the concurrence of the state government, and it is very vindictive move of the central government. Banerjee has said that she had taken the PM's permission, she had sought the PM's permission before going about her schedule to over relief operation. She had already scheduled that she would visit the other parts of the state and she would oversee the relief operations are being carried out in the other parts of the state, and for this she had sought the permission of PM, and she is saying that okay, for the welfare of the state, she is even agree or ready to touch the feet of Prime Minister. She has questioned BJP's version and pleaded that Chief Secretary be allowed to stay in a post, and she is also questioning what was his fault so that he is also dragged into this controversy. She said that she was late for the meeting because there was the traffic regulation imposed because of the landing of PM's aircraft, and it is very disheartening, extremely disheartening for the people of West Bengal because of the acrimony in such time when the pandemic had hit worse all over the India and also West Bengal. Mamata Banerjee is saying that she is blaming the central government because central government had called Mr. Dhankar, who is the leader of opposition, his name is Shubhendu Adhikari, in the meeting, and with that center had betrayed its plan to belittle the CM. And here in the statement it is said that on the same day when Prime Minister went to Orissa and Gujarat to review the situation, PM reviewed the situation with the CMs, and it does not include the opposition leaders. And from all these, it is said that BJP has not able to stomach the popular verdict in the Bengal. The defeat could have been the occasion for the BJP to introspect itself and mend its strategy for the West Bengal. And we have also seen the central government has unleashed the CBI against the newly elected Trinamool Congress ministers. Mr. Adhikari, the PM's interlocutor, on Friday remains untouched by CBI, though he is an accused in the same case. Writer is saying PM's interlocutor, whose name is Mr. Adhikari, he is also accused in the same case, but he was not even touched by the CBI. So the important for us here is CBI, and this all is the political controversy. We don't need this, but to understand the whole picture, what is going around, we are discussing this. But this is not important for us. The only thing which is important for us, the power of the central government and the power of the state government, and which act provides the immunity to the chief secretary, etc., etc. So let's move ahead. BJP must wake up to the tradition of center and states constantly and negotiate their relation in good faith. So this is all about this article. Let's move to another article. This is about GST Council. You know, the meeting was conducted few days back, and the group of 8 ministers was constituted who will decide how much the GST is to be imposed on which type of essentials. The concern was to remove the GST from the essentials like medical equipments, vaccines, etc., which are being imported from the foreign nations. Okay, so it is discussed here, it is insipid, because the common man hoping to survive while keeping fingers crossed for a vaccination slot or a hospital bed. The hospital is lacking the bed, businesses hurting from lockdowns, states grappling with cash crunch, they don't have cash to tackle this pandemic and to spend the money for the welfare of people, and they are scrambling to purchase the vaccine. Nirmala Sitharaman announced the elaborate amnesty scheme for the small firms. There was pending GST returns, and she also lowered the interest levied on the payments of central recent month, and extended several compliance timelines. But this is only for the small firms. Our claim here is that there is little respite for businesses with turnover of over 5 crore. 5 crore, there is no respite for the large scale industry which has a turnover of 5 crore. And these type of industries are overwhelmed because of the problem created by the pandemic. And here it is said that discussion occurred on bringing fuels under GST. No discussion occurred bring fuel under GST despite the center's noises to that effect amid runaway petrol prices. COVID essentials remain unchanged. Taxes on COVID essentials remain unchanged. We have discussed all this. So leave this article, because this is repeatedly given the newspaper, like vociferously opposed waiving the GST. Opposition states alleged that NDA ruled states representatives in council vociferously opposed waiving the GST on COVID vaccines and drugs, whereas the waiver was supported was the non-NDA ruled states. Okay. Sikkim is demanding that Sikkim be allowed to levy its own cess to cope with the falling revenues, and it is also followed by the Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. But if it has happened, then it will cause the very purpose of the GST, which has subsumed all local levies. Okay, so winning an intellectual ideological battle over taxes on COVID essentials is meaningless at this precarious time when each day's delay in providing relief hurt thousands. Here it is said that the decision is to be taken as early as possible, because the delay in each day is causing it is hurting thousands. Okay, this is all about this article. Let's move to another article. Here is politics and accountability of the leaders. Okay, holding leaders to account. Any regime which demonizes critical voices against it does great disservice to the idea of politics. Here it is stated that center and the government at the center in the different states have displayed their incapacities. Okay, they were incapable to tackle the pandemic. Second, it is stated that party in power has constantly asked everyone to refrain from politics. Okay, playing politics while we are in the midst of pandemic. But it is good for the in the first instance, but repeatedly requested by the PM, like to refrain from the playing politics, nudges us to examine the reasons behind such posturing. Why the ruling regime is saying like that and saying to refrain from playing politics. Okay, here is going to write the meaning of politics, and it is here it is stated that takes us to the question, what is politics all about? Politics, here it is stated that politics is not only about what happens in assemblies and parliaments and it is also not the dirty word which signifies lust for power or route to meeting personal ambitions. And here it is stated that the important element of politics is government formation, but more significant in a democratic setup democratic setup is keep creating avenues for civic engagement. This is the significance of the democratic setup and politics, to engage with the civic population. Okay. It is through such avenues that informed citizens are able to fulfill their duty as well as right to question the very government they elected successful. Yeah, it is said that they have right to question the government because um, they have elected the government. Okay, and through such avenues the informed citizens are able to fulfill their duties, and they are able to hold the government or representatives accountable. Okay, during the unprecedented crisis as we are facing right now, sharing fears, trauma, anxieties through a medium also occupies a space in the approved hamper of politics and political activities. And it is here the writer is blaming the government because he is saying that has began government has begun the denigrating or demonizing such critical voices against. It is actually doing a great disservice to the very idea of politics. Here it is said that people who are questioning the government about the critical political issues or political activities or development issues, government is demonizing the critical voices against it, and it is a danger to the very idea of politics. And government forgets that it is the electors who occupy the central rostrum in the democracy and not the elected. And he stated that history has taught us that whenever regimes have felt that they are no longer in control of the mess they created, the first approach of them is refrain from the politics. This is the only weapon they have in their hands. It is said that in the last weeks, overwhelmed numbers of people have needed hospital beds, but beds are lacking in the hospital. Oxygen support or basic life-saving drugs, but oxygen is also lacking in our country, which is imported from the foreign nation, and basic life-saving drugs are also not available in the sufficient amount in our country. Only thousands have been lucky to have them. Thousand families have lost their loved ones due to the unavailability of life-saving instruments or drugs, and they have suffered the agony being unable to attend burials or cremations of near and dear ones. Hundreds of bodies have been found floating in different rivers in the North India. Okay, so it is stated that it flagged concerns about the huge lacuna or there is problem in health infrastructure much before the second wave began. Health infrastructure is not sufficient to tackle the pandemic and treat the large scale of people. Okay, because we were not prepared even before the second wave began, and their concerns were ridiculed and dismissed. Okay, and government, which was not able to deal with its own inferiority complex, was quick to parade ministers and spokespersons to label all those voices as political. It is said that when government is incapable of tackling all this or incapable of overcoming its inferiority complex, then government has only one weapon, that it labels all those voices as political. Okay. The regime must remember that pain and grief are enduring emotions. It will go a long way. Mismanagement of the pandemic has resulted in lakhs of people grieving in India. Important routine press conferences informing people that recovery rate is high, that positivity rate is going down and no shooting bomb. Here he writer stated that no shooting bomb to the families who have lost. What what are said in the press conference that recovery rate is falling and positivity rate is going down is not the soothing bomb which would fix the grievance of the aggrieved people who lost their loved ones uh, and near and dear ones because of not the virus but because of the lack of the facilities which could have saved them. This is the failure of government which is stated by the writer in this statement. Okay, and all this because of the carelessness, apathy and carelessness of the government, which could have been dealt and which could have been tackled by the government, but government was not capable of tackle all this. The French socialist Alain Thorin once said that political class is becoming increasingly alien to the people. They are not catering to the people, and this is true about the government of the day. Okay, and here it is stated about the constitutional arrangement. Our constitutional arrangement is like uh, such that the government is accountable to the people, because government is ultimately elected by the people. So it is the people who can hold the government accountable. Okay, and the government's disdain for people raising critical issues. If government demonizes the people, if they ask the critical question, it is critical issues about the mismanagement of the crisis makes it clear that leader of regime does not think of we the people, but instead thinks I am the people. Okay, let's move to another article. This is all about the politics and accountability of the government. This is the cartoon. See the picture. Here the school is shown here, and one pillar of safety and one pillar of legacy. The pillar of safety is broken, so you need to define it, because in the CDS exam there is picture perception test and you need to work on it. Let's move to another article and let's discuss this article. Only a global effort can tame COVID-19. This article is about the production of vaccine and global coordination to inoculate the global population. It is said that new variants are emerging, and like B117 United Kingdom variants was found in North India earlier this year, and it began to spread across the country. WHO declared the variant B1617 as a variant of global concern, and it already spread to more than 40 countries. This underscores the fact that no one is safe until everyone is safe. That's why it is said that global coordination is needed to inoculate everyone in the world. Only after that all globally people would be safe. Otherwise, even some people are unsafe. The very purpose of the vaccination would be caused, because this underscores the fact that no one is safe until everyone is safe. So globally coordination is needed, efforts to build herd immunity. Okay, so for that the mass vaccination is needed, develop new vaccines or tweak the existing ones to become effective, because it is said that some experts are very doubtful about the effectiveness of some of the COVID-19 vaccines because of the ineffectiveness of the vaccines against the new variants of the virus. Here the writer is talking about the vaccine nationalism. An immediate outcome of the second wave is the people are no longer hesitant about taking the vaccine. Okay, but there is a problem, there is shortage of vaccine in the country. Several people have criticized the government of the vaccine mandatory policy of the government. Government has also imposed temporary restriction on this policy, and government also imposed restriction on the export of COVID-19 vaccines from India. Although it is needed temporarily because it was a need of the hour to meet the domestic demand of the vaccine, and any definite move towards vaccine nationalism will be detrimental to global efforts to contain the virus. And it is said here that pandemic needs to be checked globally in a coordinated manner. If it is not done in the coordinated manner, the virus will keep mutating, and we would not be able to contain it if we remain isolated. And government has also started from May 1st to inoculate the people aged between 18 years and above. Okay, this means that 595 million people require 1190 million doses, added to these 344 million people in the 45 and above age group requiring 688 million doses. Okay, to inoculate this huge people, we need to produce the large scale vaccine. We need to increase the production capacity. Okay, right now it is 12% of the population as right now it is the 12% of the population received one dose, and only 3.2% of the people received both the doses in India so far. Currently the capacity of Covishield and Covaxin is just over 70 million doses per month, and government has allocated 45 billion advance commitment to Serum Institute of India and Bharat Biotech to enhance the production capacity. It is said that by June-July, in the best case scenario, the production capacity of the two companies like Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute of India would be expected to rise to 158 million doses per month, and 50 million imported Sputnik doses would also be available, but it would be available in the major private hospital for now. Okay, and it is also stated that the Sputnik vaccine will also be produced in India, but it is not produced right now. It would be produced from July, and the annual capacity will be 156 million doses according to Russian ambassador, and it would be increased gradually to 850 million doses. And it is also said, even if all these three vaccines are exclusively used for the domestic supply, and taking the note of the anticipated production in the near future, it would not be sufficient to meet the enormous vaccine demand. Okay, so what is the need of the hour? Need of the hour is to scale up the production of the vaccine, and after this only we will be able to meet the enormous vaccine demand. Okay, now it is about the India. India, being the pharmacy of the world, needs to rise in the occasion and cater to the demand of vaccine in the country, as well as facilitate inoculation of the global population also, especially in the poorer section, because India is called as the pharmacy of the world. And the Indian Council of Medical Research, here we need to study about the Indian Council of Medical Research. It comes under which ministry, when it was founded, and what is the role of Indian Council of Medical Research? Indian Council of Medical Research, it allowed to share and it is ready to share the know-how, how to make the vaccine, know how to produce the vaccine, Covaxin, with any company. What it would do, it would scale up the production. Okay, and it will allow the multiple producers, and it will lead to more competition. And what competition creates? Competition reduces the prices. Okay, so the more the producer will be available in the market, the more the price will be reduced. Otherwise there would be monopoly, and prices of the vaccine would be higher. The government can easily task the public sector vaccine manufacturers with production of co-vaccine by providing support to them, like the support provided to the uh, private producers or private companies. Here, co-vaccine from 12.5 million doses to 1 billion doses a month. Wait a second. In its attempt to enhance the production, there is attempt to enhance the production. Right now, it is production capacity of co-vaccine is 12.5 million doses, and there is effort to increase the production up to 58 million doses a month. Government of India involved 3 public sector enterprises also: Hapkind Biopharmaceutical Corporations, Bharat Immunological and Biologicals Corporation Limited, and Indian Immunologicals Limited, to increase the production of the vaccine, while raising an alarm on the spread of infectious disease. A 2020 report of the WHO on the urgent health challenges for the next decade expressed concern on the lack of access to medical products, including medicines and vaccines. WHO is expressing its concern over the lack of medical products, medicines, and vaccines. So it is emphasizing the need to increase the access of medical products and medicines and vaccines. And it is also expected that the infectious diseases infectious diseases would be increased in the coming years. So to tackle all these diseases in the upcoming decades, India needs to frame a long-term strategy to enhance supply at the domestic and international level. And here it is stated that PSU should be the integral part of the strategy of the central government. Unfortunately, it is not included in the 1 minute in the pharmaceutical sector is strategically important. PSU, it is unfortunate that PSU is not included strategically important in the pharmaceutical sector. Okay. What we need now is the mass production of COVID-19 vaccine, mass vaccination, global to inoculate the global population to develop the herd immunity against the virus. India has still option left for scaling up production. Okay, if India includes the PSU and government gives the funding, then there is a chances that the vaccine production would be scaled up. Okay, National Health Profile 2019 published the Central Bureau of Health Intelligence, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. It shows that India has an installed capacity of 8,151.7 million doses vaccine annually in the private and public sectors. A few of these facilities can be repurposed for the production of COVID-19 vaccines. And here it is highlighted the international cooperation is needed to scale up the production of existing vaccines. Okay. And producing new vaccines is not easy. Why it is not easy? Because there is hurdle of raw material, there is complexity of technology and intellectual property barriers which hinders production. Serum Institute of India, Bharat Biotech, both they have faced constraints in continuing production due to the lack of raw material. Intellectual Property Rights Act, it is a major barrier in scaling up production because 1800 patents cover the single-use plastic reactors. Single-use plastic reactors used by the producers to produce the COVID-19 vaccine, but it is patented. It is patent protected and therefore supplied by only a few players, and it is a bigger hurdle to produce new vaccine. India and South Africa has demanded the waiver from the TRIPS, trade-related intellectual property rights, in the WTO, which is also supported by USA, but it is opposed by Germany, and it is right now unclear that this IP waiver proposal will help enhance the global production of vaccine or not. Besides the US support, it is limited to vaccine may also limit the benefits deriving from the intellectual property waiver. Okay, it is stated that an article was published in Nature, which points out that what is the benefit of mRNA vaccine technology. It is a vaccine production technology to produce the uh, COVID-19 vaccine. It is said that the advantage of this technology is easy scalability in the production, and WHO has approved 2 mRNA COVID-19 vaccine produced by Pfizer, BioNTech and Moderna, and it is said that it is proven to be more effective than other vaccine. Other technique is the conventional, and it is the mRNA vaccine technology. Other is the conventional technology, but the vaccine produced using mRNA vaccine technology is more effective than the conventional technology. Okay, and here it is said that global cooperation is needed to create the environment where those companies interested in producing the mRNA vaccines get open license from the innovators. So here the global players need to emphasize the, or they need to encourage the open license from the innovators. Global cooperation is also prerequisite and which is required by the sequencing of viral genome to track and control the multiple variants, because nowadays it is mutated and new variants have came into being. Only if we team the virus together, if we come together and quickly, then only we will be able to benefit both in terms of health and economy. It is written by Reggie Joseph, is an associate professor at Institute for Studies in Industrial Development, New Delhi. Let's move to another article. Another article is talking about one is talking about judiciary, and another one is talking about performance a reform in Lakshadweep, and it is talking about the new legislation brought by administrator. His name is Wajahat Habibullah. He has stated that Praful Koda Patel, who was a former Gujarat Bharatiya Janata Party minister, now he has given the additional charge as administrator Lakshadweep, okay, in the December last year. And there are new legislation which are introduced and which will have a wide-ranging impact on the island Lakshadweep, like legislation like Lakshadweep Animal Preservation Regulation 2021, Preservation of Antisocial Activities Regulation, in short it is called PASA, the Lakshadweep Panchayat Regulation 2021 and Lakshadweep Development Authority Regulation 2021. There is widespread criticism about these new legislation in the Lakshadweep, okay, and here it is stated the intention of the administrator is to develop Lakshadweep like neighboring Maldives, and Maldives is renowned international tourist destination. And it is written here that collector of Lakshadweep, whose name is S. Askar Ali, who is a young IS officer who belongs to Manipur, says that the Island Development Agency, it is created only in 2017 by the center which comes under Home Minister for the development of island. And he is saying that since we have been working on developing town and country planning norms, now the writer is saying here that Mr. Ali, he given reply to IS officer, he said that Mr. Ali should be aware that specifically constituted Island Development Authority for Island Territories of India, chaired by no less than former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi, had in Kavarati. From it had there in the earlier times also in 1988. It approved a framework for development of India's island territories in earlier times also. It is not the only time when BJP came to power. It is carrying out the developing activity in Lakshadweep. So it held the view that an environmentally sound strategy for both island groups hinges on better exploitation of marine resources. Okay, wait a second. He is saying that when he was as an administrator in Lakshadweep during 1987 to 1990, he he was assigned that he highlighted that Lakshadweep was an assignment to him and he considered to be the most enriching in his career when he was administrator in Lakshadweep. Okay, and he is also saying that Union Territory has its own decentralized political entity because it has Panchayati Raj much before the constitutional amendment which was happened in 1993 and in which the Island Development Council at the apex of the local government was mandated to advise the administrator on development. It is said that the Lakshadweep has its own airport, flourishing tourist industry, international tourist resort in Bangaram. According to its first franchise, Jose Dominic, this facilitated ecotourism in Kerala. So it is advantageous for Kerala also because of these facilities which are there in Lakshadweep. And Lakshadweep is termed as paradise in the Arabian Sea, and it is an archipelago of Lakshadweep, and it gives India a vast and exclusive economic zone with three distinct ecosystems: land, lagoon and ocean. You know about the land, you know about the ocean. Lagoon is the shallow water body which is surrounded by the deep water body or large water body, and it is said fishery is the primary occupation here in Lakshadweep. Okay, it is the fishery is the livelihood of the people in the Lakshadweep. And talking about the language in Lakshadweep except in Minicoy is Malayalam in Minicoy. Okay, Mahal is also a spoken language akin to the 17th century. Divehi of Maldives. The society in all islands is matriarchal. It is very important because if you see the territory all over India, most of the cities or states would be patriarchal, but it is very important that women are given the priority in this island nation, island territory. That society is called the matriarchal. And here talking about the religion is Islam. Okay, but it is debated. According to Professor Lolita Varadarajan, the thesis that Islam was introduced not from Malabar but from the Yemen and Hadramaut. Okay, if you see the social conventions, dress and position according to Thangas within the community, all these are similar to the Mapilas of Malabar, and they are the progenitors of present day Islam in Lakshadweep. Vattelutu, it is the earlier script used with its heavy Sanskrit component. You need to remember Vattelutu, it is the earlier script in Lakshadweep. It also involves the Sanskrit component. Malayalam in Arabic script is also there, which is associated with the literature of the Mapilas. He is saying that he was the part of team accompanying Rajiv Gandhi while on his first visit to Lakshadweep in 1985, and he is saying that together with the Rajiv Gandhi he visited Andaman and Nicobar Island also, and he is highlighting what are the development activities which were carried out earlier also when there was different ruling regime, highlighting the Rajiv Gandhi who was concerned about the development agenda for these ecologically fragile territories. Hmm. Let's move. It is said the deliberations of the IDA wanted the Lakshadweep with its land ownership constitutionally protected. The new developmental deliberations which were brought by the IDA, it wanted the Lakshadweep to be the land ownership constitutionally protected, and it is to be open to international tourism, not as a means of generating wealth for investors from the mainland, but to bring prosperity to the islanders. Okay, it is claimed that it is stated that if it is open to the international tourism, uh, it would not it would not be the only means for generating wealth for investors, but also it will bring prosperity in the island. Specifically rejecting the Maldives model, you will get to know what is Maldives model. Nowadays you would be seeing on the Facebook that so many pictures are circulated on the social media displaying the what is the name, I'm forgetting. Let's move, I will let you know ahead. It is said here that the plan for Lakshadweep required that industry is to be people centric. The industry needs to cater to the concern of people, okay, and they should also take care of the fragile ecosystem or coral ecology of Lakshadweep, because you know coral helps in the production of fish. It helps in the large scale fish production. If it is disturbed, the whole livelihood system would be disturbed in Lakshadweep. Okay, so it is said that it should enrich the fragile coral ecology of Lakshadweep. It is said that today Lakshadweep has the rainwater harvesting facilities. It was first introduced in the government buildings on every island, and now it is accessible in every home also. And you know the solar power, which covers 10% of lightning needs of Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep is the pioneer of India's present flagship initiative in International Solar Alliance. It is initiated by India. I think it was started in 2015. So Lakshadweep is the pioneer towards this. Okay. Talking about the literacy, post total literacy required among the country's first Navodaya Vidyalayas established in Minikoi. Kadmat has a degree college that was designed by K.T. Ravindran, an authority on vernacular building traditions. Okay, vernacular building traditions are theme of all government housing projects undertaken in island in 1980s, and it was carried out with leading architects providing designs. You know, Lakshadweep today has no poor people. It is stated Lakshadweep has today no poor people. They have high calorific consumption from plentiful foods harvested from the lagoons and islands, because there is large scale production of fishes from the lagoons and islands. Therefore, they have the high calorific consumption from plentiful foods. Okay, talking about the computerization, it is said that Lakshadweep was the first among India to be computerized with a mainframe and fax machine. The fax machine was first installed in Lakshadweep. Every island in Lakshadweep had a computer since 1990, and it is also endorsed by the 8th, 9th and 10th Finance Commission from 1984 to 2005. In the words of the last of these commissions, speedy and accurate generation of accounting information that might be needed for purpose of better planning and budgeting and monitoring. A writer is stating here that he is admitting that there is the room for improvement in the Lakshadweep, but uh, there is the room for improvement. Long lines and refrigeration have added the expansion of the fishing sector, because now they can take the fishes with the help of refrigeration system from one place to another place safely. Okay, and added the expansion of fishing sector. It also helped to increase the production of fishes, but there is the problem of income disparities which have grown over the years. Admittedly, there is much room for improvement. Yeah, I have discussed this. Government recognizes the need to develop policies for enhancing employment. Now, here the writer is talking about there are so many rooms for developmental activities, but the new legislation enacted has no relevance to all these developmental activities. Now, talk about what are the developmental activities. Government recognizes the need to develop policies for enhancing employment opportunities. Okay, environment friendly management of fisheries, sanitation work, waste disposal, widening access to drinking water with the youth having acquired modern education, provide for salaried jobs over the traditional occupation. All these developmental activities has no relevance to the new legislation announced by the Administrator Patel. Okay. It is said that revenue from tourism has declined over the years because of the closures of resorts in the Bangaram, also because of the new litigation. So here there is a need of the clear policy, and clear policy must include conservation and natural resource management arrived at after wide consultation. So it is said that there should be the wide consultation if you make the plan for the conservation and natural resource management. Okay, and while framing all these plans, they should also take into account the climatic compulsions of Lakshadweep. And it is said here by the writer that Maldives is hardly a suitable model for Lakshadweep. You know about the water bungalows? Yeah, this is the word I was forgetting. Nowadays, you would have seen that there are so many pictures are spreading on the social media handles like Facebook. That is the bungalows, water bungalows of Maldives. Okay, so it is an expensive concept and also hazardous to coral, because the livelihood of Lakshadweep people is dependent on fisheries, and fishery activity grows with the help of coral reefs. So if it is hazardous to coral, it would impact the livelihood of the Lakshadweep also. But it was favored by Niti Aayog, and it is said that the water bungalow would be collapsed in Lakshadweep's turbulent monsoon. Okay, you know about the wooden jetty, which is, you would have seen in our country also, in India also, that is made of bamboo. Okay, like a bridge to cross from one side to another side. The same, you search what is wooden jetty, it is installed at the diving school at Kadmat, needs to be dismantled every monsoon. Okay, talking about the auspicious plans in the pursuit of holistic development, using the claim that there has been no development in Lakshadweep for the past 70 years. Here writer has saying that Mr. Praful Patel has claiming that there has not been developmental activity in the Lakshadweep from past 70 years, and the administrator has proposed an cow slaughter ban in the territory. where there is no cow except in government owned dairy farms, and also there is a new legislation brought, that is preventive detention law, where there is no crime, and also steps to undermine tribal land ownership with judicial remedy denied, with also plans for road widening on islands where the maximum road length is 11 kilometers. He is talking about the more insidious provision to allow the mining and exploitation of mineral resource. The exploitation caused by mining and mineral resource would convert the island into a hub for cement manufacture, and the initiatives taken by the Mr. Praful Patel include Panchayat rules, which is restricting the population growth in a territory where, according to the National Health Family Survey 5 2019-20, the total fertility rate is 1.4, and what is the national average? 2.2. Worst still is the relaxation of quarantine restrictions for travel. It is said that what has hit the Lakshadweep worse is the relaxation of quarantine and travel, relaxation in the travel rule. This created the danger for the Lakshadweep people, because it spreaded the novel coronavirus into a pandemic-free archipelago, and this type of developmental activity only makes us to suspect that there is something sinister or dangerous being planned, and in this game plan to altogether supplant Lakshadweep's human habitation, cement factories. So this is all about Lakshadweep and new legislation brought by the new administrator of Lakshadweep. Let's move to another article, which is about judiciary. I have discussed this now. COVID-19, yes. This article is talking about judiciary. Wait a second. Evidence of how little the judiciary has learned. This article is about Tarun Tejpal case judgment, and writer is Brinda Karat, and she is saying that it should not be the precedent in derailing the workplace safety of women. Okay, it is said that Bharatiya Janata Party BJP government in Goa has a ruling party in Goa has rightly filed an appeal in High Court against the judgment of the additional sections. Okay, where the additional session judge acquitting a former editor of news magazine Tarun Tejpal, who was accused of rape in November 2013. He was tried under section introduced in the section introduced after the Nirbhaya case, and he was tried using those sections. He was in a position of power, authority, and trust over the young women concerned. And it is talking about the argument of the government was politically motivated, since Mr. Tejpal was known as BJP critic, or by the utter hypocrisy of BJP when it comes to its double standards in dealing with cases of rape. Okay, it is also talking about that one young women survivor is no pawn of those who may have political motives. You know about the pyada in Hindi, so it has been talked about that she is no longer pawn of those who have politically motivated motives. Okay, and she has fought a very tough battle. The judge has given 527-page judgment, and in spite of all the efforts to suppress it, it is her voice we hear, and in which she speaks with honesty and courage. a voice of a young woman conflicted and torn, sexually assaulted by a man, her boss, whom she considered a father figure. It is said that the boss who is accused was a father figure for the women. Okay, and also he was considered as a close friend of the victim. Therefore, she was confused as to what her course of action should be. Okay, because all the relationships were at stake. She was angry, sad, and yet trying to act normally to fulfill her responsibilities at workplace. Um, let's move ahead. The judgment, talking about the judgment, it transforms accused into the victim. Right now, no, earlier who were accused is transformed into victim by the judgment, and earlier who were victim now became accused. It says prosecutrix neither demonstrates any kind of normative behavior on her own part that as prosecutrix of sexual assault might plausibly show. So talking about it is taking back to 1979 when a rape survivor had to prove uh, through physical marks on her body that she had not consented. Here it is talking about the consent was their consent from the side of the female. The court demanded to prove was there any physical mark on the body or not. And in the 2021 judgment, the similar approach was taken by the court since the survivor did not fit. Okay. Therefore, she is considered as a liar, and talking about the violation of laws of privacy, and to this end, she is saying that total violation of various laws, personal details of survivor, her name, name of family, WhatsApp messages, her personal mails, her photographs, her relationships are all laid out bare in the judgment in most ferocious aggression on her right to privacy and which have no relevance in the charge of rape. It is stated by the writer. And in contrast, it is said there is blanket of protection given by the court to the accused. She is trying to convey that court is trying to save erstwhile accused. In the case, even his telling WhatsApp message referring to fingertips, a clear reference of what he had done to the survivor, is brushed aside. It was not taken into account, and only the survivor, she, has subjected to a barbaric and cruel cross-examination by the court. And in the cross-examination recorded in the judgment on intimate details of her life and her friendship, the judgment defends this, stating some of the messages shown were not for purpose of proving immoral character or consent, but to prove suppressing of relevant facts. Court said it was to suppress the facts, relevant facts, by the prosecutrix, and this is nothing but a license for the character assassin's knife. The most telling evidence against the accused is on his own personal apology. Leave it, you read it on its own. Talking about the sympathy towards accused, but in an extraordinary and unprecedented interpretation, the judgment holds apology and statement by the accused were not sent voluntarily, but that was due to there was an apology made by the erstwhile accused, who is the editor, and court has said that statement made by the accused were not voluntarily, but it was due to the pressure and intimidation by the prosecutrix to act swiftly and also to inducement that the matter would be closed. Okay, that is why he did that. Here it is said that in this way, by using all this technique, the boss accused of rape is converted into a victim by manipulation and calculating nature by the prosecutrix, and his statement is taken as being not voluntary and against his wishes. Okay, move ahead. Yeah. She twists and manipulates the truth. Now, in contrast, the comment against the survivor was like, she twists and manipulates the truth. Every witness who gave evidence that the survivor shared her traumatic experience, like who were the witness in the case, from the side of the survivor, who shared her traumatic experience with them within 4 hours of incident, and it was all brushed aside on grounds that they are her friends and therefore they are biased for her. Okay, but while the statements of the accused's own sister and another female colleague known to be close to him are accepted as being true. Okay, even the right of survivor to approach activists and lawyers for their help, the most natural course of action for any survivor, is criminalized in this judgment. Okay, the judge in this case was women. Okay, which once again underlines that it is not biology, okay, but ideology which determines one's view of social reality. And she is saying that this judgment will find its place in history as an example of the worst kind of victim blaming and seeming to benefit the accused. A man old enough to be her father, powerful as her boss, sooner it is overturned the better. She is saying that sooner it is overturned is the better. Otherwise, if it is not happened, then and if this becomes the precedent, no working women will dare to speak out against sexual abuse and violence at the workplace. You know, in this article, this lady, what is her name? Let's see the name of this lady. Brinda Karat. Her inclination is towards to save that lady, or her inclination towards the survivor, and she is raising question on judiciary again and again, and she wanted the accused, who was editor, to be punished, to set the precedent that in the near future no such activity or even is to be taken place. Therefore, she is talking about, and she has stated that sooner it is overturned the better. Otherwise, if it becomes a precedent, no working woman will dare to speak out against sexual abuse and violence at the workplace. But we need to balance this article. We don't need to incline towards one party. Okay, this is all about today's newspaper analysis, and sorry for the delay. Once I had recorded, and the mistake I did not plug in the mic in my computer, so this is the reason I am delayed in uploading this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and also if you want to give any idea, then comment in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching this video. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.